Hi, my name is Bas Luijten, and in this screencast I'm going to show you how easily zero downtime deployments can be achieved when using Sitecore on Azure. During this screencast I will show how I created my local changes, how I deployed my local changes, how I used Azure to achieve that zero downtime. First of all, I already provisioned a new fresh web app on my local machine. I used the Sitecore Azure Toolkit to create a new deployment package and rolled that one using web deploy. And we just saw that a lot of new files have been deleted and been deployed to this environment. And this results into this out of the box website that Sitecore delivers when you install Sitecore. I changed the package slightly, um, by adding Unicorn to the baseline of the Sitecore package, as Unicorn is very important in the story for rollback scenarios. This is my Visual Studio solution. I do have a Unicorn configuration which points to the sample item in my master database. As I'm going to change the template with an additional field. I changed already my rendering. I didn't deploy this one yet, but I create a sample rendering which includes that additional field. And I changed the default.css to add an extra background color, which means that this field, this title, would get a red background. So first of all, in the content editor, I'm going to change that template. Let's navigate to the sample item and add the node field. Going to publish that item. Close. I'm going to add some local content. This will not be deployed to, to Azure. Let's publish that content as well. And the next thing that I'm going to do is to deploy these files. And the next thing I'm going to do is to deploy these files to my local Sitecore environment. I do have a publishing profile, which basically copies all these data, these files to my local installation. When we take a look at the newly freshly deployed items, it takes a while because it got an application pull recycle. We will see that over here the additional field will appear and this text will become red. Well, the background will become red. So I did a local deployment with those changes. Because I'm using Unicorn, some YAML files will be created when I'm going to sync this information. So we didn't have any configuration defined. Now the configuration appears because I deployed it. And let's serialize. And let's sync it to be sure. And I bet that the content is still here. Yeah, that's right. So if we take a look at this Visual Studio solution, we do see the YAML files and stuff. It's all being synced. So that's step one. I've got my local web deploy stuff. The next step is to deploy my solution to Azure. As you can see, I already provisioned my Sitecore environment to Azure and I deployed the XM1 template, which means only a content management and content delivery server will be provisioned. Sitecore is already running on this one, but I need to redeploy it to be able to use Unicorn on this one. So I created my web deploy packages for Sitecore. If I would redeploy the vanilla Sitecore web deploy packages, then the databases would get recreated, which means that all the content I already entered into my Sitecore site would be removed and be replaced with the initial content. So from the archive XML, which resides into the web deploy packages, I removed all the docpack files and the custom SQL scripts, which results in a new archive XML, which will be used to package my solution. Only the website node is still in this archive XML. And if we compare the original parameters file with 22 different parameters, which all are needed, for example, to execute the set Sitecore admin password and create user.core.sql, or which are used to provision the databases to some endpoint, they can all be removed as well. So this results in another parameters XML for the content management system with just 6 parameters, of which 2, I believe, yeah, 2, the build number and the keep alive URL are even optional. So the parameters that I need to deploy this site are just 4 parameters. So there is no need for the connection strings anymore. And I will explain later what I did to achieve this. Because those connection strings are usually patched into the connection strings.config. Let me show it over here. For example, I do have the core connection string over here, and that value will be patched into the connection strings.config, especially in this node. So let's deploy this package. One more thing I have to show is the cargo payload. I included the Unicorn payload over here to be deployed to my Sitecore environment as well. So I can make use of Unicorn in my project files. So let's start provisioning. I'm using a PowerShell commandlet or PowerShell script that I got from Christoph Claessens. He works at Microsoft. I slightly modified it, and this one is using msdeploy to deploy this web deploy package to my Sitecore environment. So let's start and execute the script. Oh, one more time, I have to stop my application because it may be possible that some files are already in use, and those files can't be deleted, which will result in deployment error and a site that won't work anymore. So I have to stop this web application, and we can see over here that the site isn't available anymore, and I can redeploy my site right now. So let's do it and wait a while. It seems that my basic package already has been deployed right now. Let's take a look. Let's start this application and refresh the browser. And the site got up. The next step I have to do is to deploy my change to the site. I can create a new web deployment package and deploy it to the site. I can use Visual Studio as well to deploy. I wouldn't recommend that one for a production situation, but for this demo, it will do. I can download um, from Azure. I can download the profile settings, the publishing profile. I can import that one into Visual Studio. I already did that, and I can redeploy my project changes, my project to Sitecore as well. So let's do that. And we'll see that the unicorn files and um, the other changes are being uploaded to Sitecore. I'm reloading that application pool as well. So during deployment, that site is not accessible. And that's not acceptable in a zero downtime scenario. Now we do see that the site came back up again. So let's do a hard refresh and see that that red background is applied on this title background. So the changes have been synchronized. But we didn't get into that zero downtime scenario yet. One thing I forgot to mention is about the connection strings. If we take a look at the connection strings, how they exist on the server, then we see something interesting. I learned this trick from Rob Halbrake. It's a fellow Sitecore MVP because there is a console available in the Azure app services. So we can look into the directories and see what has been deployed. So if I open up the connection strings.config, normally you would see the actual connection strings over here. We do see that they are not available. What did I do? On Azure, you can set the application settings on on a goal level. So if we open up the application settings, we do see that I specified the web master and core database connection strings in this section. So Sitecore is looking at these connection strings and not the connection strings that are specified in the connection strings.config. That's why I don't have to specify them during deployment. Never ever again, because they will be attached to this web application. And let's switch back to the zero downtime stuff. Another cool feature of Azure which we can use to achieve zero downtime are deployment slots. A deployment slot is basically a new web app that you're creating as a staging environment. You can deploy your web deployment packages to that environment. You can choose to reuse that configuration, and you can test things out on a freshly provisioned web app that shouldn't be available to the public, but should be available to the business. If they give a go on that stuff, you can switch and you can swap those slots from staging to production, and your new application will be available without having any downtime. That's great, right? So we can navigate to the deployment slots over here. I already added one, but it's very convenient to do. Add a new slot, give it a name, for example, staging 02. Make the choice if you want to clone the configuration from an existing slot or not, and press OK. And that's all you have to do. So if we take a look at the staging slot, Let's open up the console. Where is it? Over here. We can see that this slot, this web application, is completely empty. If we navigate to this page, we do see that nice blue screen with a message that your new web app has been created. So the very first thing that we should do is to provision, to deploy the web deploy packages that we use for the production slot as well to this application to have Sitecore installed. To do that, I have to download that publishing profile. So it's the same technique and the same buttons as in the production slot. Download the publishing profile. It's number staging 02 at this moment. I have to copy that configuration. One moment. To another location. I can import that configuration. Oh, I can import that configuration in Visual Studio again, like I did for the production settings. So let's copy that staging publishing profile. It's called staging 02. Next, make sure none of these are enabled. We could choose for having a preview, but it's not needed in this case. And I have that staging 02 publishing profile imported into Visual Studio. We can deploy exactly the same web deploy package to this environment. We just have to make sure that our web app name changes and that we change to another endpoint, to another slot. So I just download that staging publishing profile. I already made some changes in the script to point to the staging configurations, and I have to make sure that my set parameter file is configured correctly. So I have to change that 01 into 02. And the next part is that I can deploy my Sitecore web deploy package to this environment. So let's see. It's still empty. And I'm going to start the script right now. So the deployment succeeded. Let's see if that Sitecore installation still works. It has to do some warm up. So in the meantime, we can take a look at that console window again to see if all files got deployed. And we see that nice Sitecore structure over here. So probably everything succeeded. Let's wait a few seconds before that website comes up. And there it is. The next part is to deploy my application to the slot. I have to select that staging O2 web deploy publishing mechanism. I'm going to publish this web. It's just a bit of data. And let's wait again before this application comes up. Now, if we refresh this browser, we do see that red title as red background, and we do see that node field being displayed on this page. So now it's exactly the same files. It has exactly the same file structure as on production. So let's assume that the business came to me and wanted to make some changes to this application. They wanted to have a blue background instead of a red one. and they wanted to add another field to this template, so they could even add more information to it. Let's switch back to Visual Studio. The first thing that I'm going to do is to switch that background color from red to blue. I'm going to change my zero downtime environment. I'm going to change the template in this one. So let's add node 2. Node 2 is in here as well. BB, and let's publish the stuff. So we still do see that red background because we didn't publish the solution yet, and we have to change that sample rendering as XSLT as well because node 2 was added. So the first thing I'm going to do is to publish this to my zero downtime environment. The only thing I have to do basically is copy that sample rendering.xslt my default CSS. So if I just want to publish one item, I can select this option. I won't have an application pull recycler. So if I change this this content, what do you should change in the Sitecore Experience platform? Oh, I made a small mistake in the XSLT, so that's good. I published to my local environment first. Let's fix that one immediately. Probably I had a typo in this field name. So let's publish this one again. So now we're ready to publish this solution to my staging environment. So let's switch to Visual Studio. This could be done with that web deployment PowerShell. I will do it from Visual Studio right away. It's a little bit faster. So let's select the staging environment and let's publish the web. Well, I published that content. We do see that the background became blue. And if we check the actual production site, oh, that's the wrong one. If we check the actual production site, we do see it's still red. This HTML does have just one content description. This is a node in Azure, while this one will probably have two. Yeah, that's right. We have the content description. This is a node in Azure, and the second one that's containing the node 2 content. Now we can test the new provisioned assemblies, the new logic as such. I can deploy and publish my content as well. I have to sync that one with, of course, Unicorn. Access denied. So let's log in to the environment. So let's log in with the super secret password. That's a real disadvantage. Now we are forced to supply new passwords. I always tend to forget those passwords, so I really should use my password manager for my different environments. Let's go to the unicorn right away. Let's sync the content. Your website is being synced. That node 2 item will be added to my template. Now the content changes will be visible on the staging environment because my templates, well, my view renderings and things like that are available on this environment. So if I refresh this site, it's over here. Then I'll probably see that blue background again with the node 1 and node 2 information. Well, that node 2 will be empty because I didn't update my user generated content. So let's go to the content editor. Here in the content editor, let's add that second node. Second node on Azure. Let's save and publish. And for some reason, my environment is quite slow. I really don't know why this is. It was faster. So, and if we refresh this site, now we do see node 1 and a node 2 field. While on the live environment, we still have the old renderings with the old content visible. In my opinion, you should never ever supply user-generated content using Unicorn. You should always supply the content, the application content like the layouts, like templates, system settings, such like that. So never ever provision user-generated content with Unicorn. Well, the staging environment is live. My business owner, he told me, well, I'm happy with the changes. Can you um, please put this on production? We saw at the start of this video that it can take a while to publish content, to reprovision stuff. And it can take a few minutes to have a website that can be visited by your visitors again. And you will have some downtime. So now we're going to make use of swapping deployment slots. So let's switch back to Azure, to the deployment slots. And over here I can select the swap option. I want to swap my staging O2 environment to my destination environment, which means that my current production environment will be swapped back to the staging environment. I've got some message on the application settings. We can ignore this one for now. And I want to swap with preview, which means that I can do a last check and then we can give it a go to swap that stuff really to production. So I just gave the command to start swapping. I can do some last checks. So that blue screen is still on the staging environment. That red background is still on the live environment. Let's complete the swap. Let's complete it. We don't want to cancel the swap, we want to complete it. We are very happy with the results. Let's see if the production environment got updated with the staging contents. I refreshed that production environment. We do see that that blue background is over there. We do see that that content is there, and we do see that the view renderings are available. And we can see that the staging environment has the old production content on it. And this is really cool because I've deployed my environment without any kind of downtime. It's quite fast. And you have got a very interesting rollback option because my business users, my customer, he told me, boss, I'm really not too happy with that second node field and with that blue background. I want to revert the changes. And this content has already been published to the web database. So it's pretty inconvenient to retract that old content. We should, in a normal situation, create a new package, upload that package to Sitecore to make sure that that content gets deleted. That's not good. But because of Unicorn is having its content serialized to disk, and we deployed that content using those web deployment packages, it means that the old content is still available in the old production slot. So what we have to do is visit that Unicorn page again. I have to resync this one from my staging environment. Website is being synced. We do see that that node 2 field got deleted. It's being auto-published. Let's see what happens on production. On the production environment, nothing happened because the cache wasn't cleared. If we want to restore to the old situation, all we have to do is swap back that old staging environment back to production. So let's do that. And we do see that the old content has been restored to production, has been rolled back to production without causing any downtime. How cool is that? This was it, guys. Thank you for listening.